Give us one concrete example that would deal with our housing issue.
Well, housing, like I say, it splits up into two separate things. Single-family housing is going to be a tough one for Liberal right now. Rural development, and there's been talk about, not tonight, about has to be redefined what the definition and that has to do with population. Single-family housing, getting a mortgage and that is actually more of the problem that stands in the way of housing right now on single-family housing. The multifamily housing is a different issue completely. That financing is done commercial loans, and we have several people in Liberal right now that want to create new units, and they've actually come to the commission, or not to the commission, to the city several times in the last 3 years, wanting to know if we can help it. And that's what we're going to have to do, is we're going to have to relook at how we do incentives for multifamily.
Well, I've had the opportunity to talk to some of the realtors and others that are involved in housing in our community. And what they tell me is one of our big handicaps is that we're not able to attract contractors and builders because of the constraints that we have on having upfront money and large numbers of credit to move forward with construction. It's difficult for a builder to come into our hometown and make a profit. That's because of the cost of the building materials and the labor, etc. So what we have to do is get together with these people and figure out how can we lower the cost of the upfront money required by our city, so I'm told, for the builders to actually turn a profit in constructing new homes. And I'm an advocate that says that we need to sit down and figure that out and quit worrying about who's going to make the money. What we want to do is to create the atmosphere where we can get builders in here and build.
I agree with Mr. Love. We need to sit down and I won't pretend to say that I have the answers, because I don't. I know we have a problem because we have so many employees that come to National Beef, and I hear that we have an issue with middle class, affordable, adequate housing. They say they start there, they make too much money right away for the housing that is available. I think I have to sit down and get more educated and learn more, but I'm going to do that. I think maybe one opportunity might be that once that sales tax, is there any monies there to maybe look at working with the contractor to come in? Is there something that's available as far as a grant? Is there anything that is out there that's available now that we could use?
Well, the problem with housing in many things is always revenue. Revenue is always your biggest shortfall that you have. But I think what we have to do as a community is we have to come together as a community to resolve this issue. That's local businessmen, that's city fathers, that's realtors, developers, the whole gamut of what's involved. And we got to find out again, I believe that rental housing is our issue. We have teachers that come here that don't qualify for low income, but they don't make enough to really buy a house, and they're not really interested in buying a house at this point in time. But I think if you can work with your businesses, and then I've seen in other communities where businesses like myself, if I go in there, I'll say, I'll guarantee you rent, whether there's anybody in there or not. If you'll build so many homes for our employees, I think that's one avenue we need to look at, is how can we, as businesses, help the community or developer put this together and him not be at risk of losing everything he's got without renters.
Well, I believe currently the city is looking at a couple of different options. It should be before the city commission in the next meeting or two. One of those is rural housing improvement districts, where the city goes in and designates a parcel of land as an improvement district, and then you work with developers, you work with private business, and you try to get them to guarantee, okay, if you build a 200-unit apartment complex, we can guarantee that my company will take 100 of those. We'll guarantee you that we'll rent out 100 of those. And you work with different private firms to guarantee that. The developer will then take a harder look at bringing that to a community. It's working well in Dodge City. It will be before the commission within the next meeting or two. There's rebate programs for taxes that are now offered through the state. And I'm not opposed to looking at our incentive programs that we currently offer through the city for developers of single-family dwelling units also. I think we need to take a look at everything. If it's not working, if it's broke, let's fix it.
Has expired.
Thank you very much. I believe this is a very, very good question. You know, I believe that the way we're gonna deal with this is this the way I look at it. That's a special assessments. If nobody understands what a special assessment is we take a part of Liberal, we build streets, infrastructure, okay? In that area, what we do is that the city builds it with a tax on top of that. In other words, we divide that expense for, let's say, 15 years. In those 15 years, what you do is you increase a little bit of the tax of that property. So what that does this. You create streets. You can create streets, you will get developers to build in Liberal at any time. Why? Because they're not doing it because the infrastructure is so expensive. When they build a house, it's not going to make any money. So what we need to do is we need to sit down and look at this special and say, you know what? If you want to build a new house, we're going to make money on the taxes plus a little bit of an incentive of that money we need to make back that we just spent on the street. So those are the things that we need to start looking at, and that's going to make a benefit for our community and the growth of housing. Simple. We make our money back on what we spend.
Time has expired.
We create people to build houses.
Commissioner.
I think Julio kind of hit on it a little bit. I think it's infrastructure. What are you as a community willing to do? Are you willing to put in a street and sewer and utilities so some developer can come in and build houses and make a profit? And I shouldn't say some developers come in. We have developers in our community. Are you willing to do that? If you are, you need to make your wishes known. If that's what you want done, it's your money. If that's what you're willing to do, you need to let people know.
First of all, I believe Ivanhoe and Ron and Julio too. We're not all the smartest here, but we need to come together, throw a plan out, and get it together. We need to bring in developers, bankers, lawyers, real estate agents, whatever we need to do. Let's throw it out on the table, see what it's going to do, and we need to do it quick.